Hello guys, in our previous class we did how to add CSS to an HTML code. So in this class we are going to discuss hyperlinks, that is HTML links. HTML links. Links is a very important aspect when it comes to HTML. HTML links. So I want to create a file called HTML links.html. So now link is a very important aspect when it comes to HTML. Yes, because it is used to navigate within our website. Whenever you are creating a website, links is mostly used to navigate within the site from home page to about us to privacy policy to advertise with us. All those links, all those things which I mentioned earlier are created with links. If you have more than 2, 3, 4, 5 pages in your website, to navigate to that links, you use what we call hyperlinks. So now, to create a link, you start with what we call anchor tag. Then after that anchor tag, you specify the link using href attributes. Href. Let me create a link to google.com. https www.google.com. So I want to create a link to google.com. So whenever I click this link, I'll be referred to Google landing page. So Google landing page. Now look at this very well. To create a link, you start with anchor tag. Then within that anchor open tag, which is a tag, you are going to use href attributes. Href attribute, as you can see, the href attribute is used to do what? To specify the link URL. So the link URL is www.google.com. So let me save the file. And open with Google Chrome. So whenever I click that link, I'm going to be redirected to Google landing page. So before then, let me connect to my internet. Let me connect to my internet so that whenever I click the Google link, I'll be redirected to the link. I'll be redirected to Google homepage. So let me connect to my internet. Yeah, connected. So now I will click the HTML link file which I saved earlier. Now open with Chrome. What's going on? I think it's taking some time to load. So now open with Google Chrome. So now before that, this Google landing page, as you can see, the Google landing page is a link text. The text that you are going to see, whenever you click on the text, you'll be redirected to what? Google homepage. And while this is the Google URL. So now I think the page has been loaded. Now you see Google landing page. Can you see the text? Google landing page. Then I will click the text now. Now you see I'll be redirected to google.com. I'll be redirected to google.com. So that is that. Can you see this? I'm redirected to google.com. So that is how to create link. So this type of link is called absolute URL. You have two ways of whenever you are creating link. The link, whenever you are creating link, the link can be categorized in two ways. We have absolute link, and we have absolute URL, and we have relative URL. So what is the absolute URL? So what is the absolute URL? The absolute URL is the full address, having full address of a website. This one at www.google.com is a full address and is pointing to Google website. So this is absolute URL. Absolute URL. So here the domain name is there, which is Google. Google.com. That's absolute URL. And you also have the one for relative URL. Let me say I want to point to the index page. Okay. Let me see the kind of page we have here so that I can point to any of those page. Open file. So I want to point to a page here. My file, the link file is saved here, isn't it? So I want to point to the page of, let's say, HTML doc. No, let's point to the paragraph. Yes, let's point to the paragraph page here. So now the relative URL here, so pointing to the paragraph page here is the relative URL. Pointing to the paragraph page here is relative URL. So relative URL, relative URL. So now I want to point to the paragraph page here now. I just see anchor tag, the a tag, href, which is the attribute used to point to a link. Href, then you specify the link name here. The link name here is paragraph. Paragraph.html. So whenever you click on the link text, you'll be directed to the paragraph page. This paragraph page is the one we did during our previous class when we discussed paragraph. So now this is relative URL. Why do we call it relative URL? We call it here relative URL because the paragraph page here and the HTML links, they are in the same folder. They are in the same folder. At least whenever you click that paragraph, you'll be redirected to the, whenever you click this paragraph link, you'll be redirected to another page, which is the paragraph. That is, the paragraph.html page is in the same folder with these HTML links we created. So now let's save it and let's reload the browser. You see what I'm saying now? Now let's reload the browser. Now let me go back. I'm no more. Now we have paragraph page. To make it more legible, let me give it a line break. Let me give it a line break here so that I'll be able to see what I'm talking about. So let me give it a line break here. Save. Now let me reload it once more. You see now there that the page paragraph will be in another line. Yes, so that is it. So now let's just click through the paragraph page, the paragraph text. Now, as you can see, you have been redirected to the paragraph page. So that is that on link. You have relative URL and we have absolute URL. So now I want to talk about another concept in link as well. That we have different kind of creating this link. Do you want to target a particular section in your page, or you want to move to another page? We have different way of doing this in links. We also have another one. If you want your link to open in a separate window, in this paragraph now, I want the paragraph to load in a separate window. I will use target. I will use target attribute. Target is equal to, and I'll give it in this target attribute, I will specify blank. I will specify blank. You see that this link is going to open in a separate window. So now let me save it. I've used target attribute blank. So this link is going to open in a separate window. So now let's go back once more. So now let's click this paragraph. Can you see? that has been it's opened in a separate window, in which I want to show us now. Let's say we want to move to certain parts of our page. Yes, like you want to move to a part within our page. You can, this is achieved using anchor tag, and that anchor tag, we use it along with ID attributes. So now I'll generate some random text. Let's say I want to generate text of, let's say, 500 lines now. Let me create a div ID. Now I want to generate random text of random, I'll give it ID of random text. I generate an article of, let's say, 500 lines. Now I want to generate the article of 500 lines. So I'll use lorem this thing, the lorem ipsum is used to generate text. You can read more about it. So lorem, I want to use 500, I want to generate 500 lines of text. As you can see, we have 500 lines of text here. So the text, now after this text, I want to move my page to the bottom part of the page. So now I will create div, I'll create div id. Now, names this thing is very important. Whenever you want to target certain part of your page, like you want to move towards certain part of your page, the same page, notice the same page, not different page now. You want to move to certain part of your page, you are going to use div ID. You are going to use ID attributes. Then that ID attributes, you are going to, let's say this is bottom of the page. I'll give it ID of bottom. I'll give it ID of bottom. ID of bottom. So this is bottom of a page. So now this test, after this test now, I want to move to the bottom of a page using link. So now we now use href to target that ID attribute. The ID attribute, we use href to target it. You see what I'm talking about now. So now let's create a button. I'll create a button now. So whenever I click this button, I'll be redirected to the bottom of the page. Button, then move to move to bottom move to bottom of the page. Move to bottom of the page. So now in this button now, within this button now, I will create an anchor tag, a href. Then the href, then if you want to move to certain part of the page, we have given the part which we are moving to, we have given it an ID attribute of bottom. So now you specify that ID attribute here. You specify the name bottom. Now, before specifying the name, you will have to use, what is it called? Hashtag. The hashtag, then the name bottom. We discussed what we call selector in attribute class, when we discussed how to add CSS to your HTML code. So this selector, whenever you want to target ID, you use a selector of hashtag. That's why you are using selector here. You have given in the bottom of our page, you have given a certain part of the page bottom. You are giving it an ID of bottom. So now I want to target that ID here. You start with hashtag, then followed by the ID name, which is the bottom. So now you close you close the anchor tag. You close the anchor tag. You close the anchor tag. You see, this is a link, but the link will specify us to certain parts within our page. So let's close the anchor tag. So that is that. So now let's save and reload. So you see what I'm talking about now. So let's reload the page. Yeah, thank you. So now, can you see the button? Move to the bottom of the page. Oh, I've done a mistake here. I want to write move to the bottom. Move to the bottom of the page. That will be the text. Move to the bottom, not top. Move to the bottom of the page. So now let me save and reload. Move to the bottom of the page. See what I'm talking about now? So now whenever I click this button, I'll be redirected to the bottom. Can you see? I'm redirected to the bottom of the page. That is, the bottom of the page shows. Can you see that? So that is that on HTML links. Can use HTML link to move to to a certain part of your page. Let me click the button again. You see the effect. Now, so now the page I've been redirected to the I've been moved to the bottom of the page. So now that is that. This is useful. This kind of thing is useful. Maybe you are in articles. You know, there are some page that when you move to that page, you see some certain articles. You'll be outlined. The content of the page will be outlined at the beginning, at the top. So whenever you click the outline, you'll be directed to the certain part of that article. When you click another outline, you'll be directed to the certain part of the article. Yes, what I'm talking about is the outline part. They'll use bullets like this. They'll use bullets to outline those contents. So after using bullet to outline the content, whenever you click that bullet point at the top, like let's say page of content, yes, page of content. Whenever you click any part of the page of content, you'll be directed to that particular section where where the content is being discussed in details. So that is that on HTML links. Thank you very much.